everybody, this is Diane with Crafting with Fury. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. I am here. I had made a embellishment album for Miss Becky Long here on YouTube. Hey girl. And I had asked if you all would like to have a tutorial on how I made this album, and I had a couple of you say yes, please. So I was like, absolutely, I would love to show you how I made it. Now, what we're going to do is, let me show you. I'm going to show you how you can take any box that you have that you get anything out of, candy bars, it don't matter. How you can take any box, you can measure to create any album to put in here. And I just love to put an album in a box because it protects the album and it's just neat, so neat. So this is the size album that I'm going to show you how to create out of this box here. And all I did was just cut the, the top of it down. And this is the album that I'm going to show you how I created. And I just went ahead and done, I don't know if you want to call it a prototype or what, but I went ahead and created this album. And the actual album size is going to be 7 by almost 5, and it's right at 5 1/4. And I used the hidden hinge binding system, which is not mine, and it's been around for a long time, and I do apologize, I can't remember exactly who come up with this, but it's been many years ago, to where you don't see the binding. And then I'm going to show you how to make these pocket pages to where you can put a tag in here. So are you ready? So let's get started. Now, the first thing you want to do in order to decide on what size your album is to measure the box. So what I did was I was like, okay, let's see, how big is this box? So I stick my ruler in the box, and the box is right at 6.5 inches long. So I'm thinking, okay, so what I want to do is I want to make my binder just a little bit longer than the box, because what I like to do is I like for the binding or the spine just to barely stick out, just barely. That's what I like to do. Now if you want it to be flush in, and it's easy to get out, but if you want it to be flush in, you can just change your measurements however you like. So I like, okay, so my album's going to be 7 inches long. Now you need to decide on how wide you want your album. Now, as you measure the box, you see the box is, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's 5.5 inches tall. Now, you don't want your album to be that wide because it won't fit. And plus, when you put paper on it and all that good stuff, it just may not fit. So what I did with this one was I took it down, I made my album to be 5 1/4. So it's 5 1/4. So I made it 5 1/4. And that worked after I put it together. It worked perfect and it stays in. So that's the size of album we're going to create. But you take any box and that's how you measure it. You just measure it how long you want it. It fit in the box. Then you measure it how tall. Easy peasy, says Wheezy. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create the binder. Just the spine and the binder of the box or the album. So what you're going to need, you're going to need a paper cutter. You're going to need a scoreboard. I use double-sided tape. Now, you can use glue, but double-sided tape really, with the way that you may use the album a lot, double-sided tape really holds the paper. Okay, so that's what we're going to use is double-sided tape. So I've got different sizes there. You need your scissors. You will need, well, you need a ruler regardless, and you'll need a bone folder. So what we decided was we needed our, and I went ahead and cut some of these out to save some time. So what I did, you can use really thick chipboard, just depending, but I feel like since you've got the box to protect your album, you don't need to use as thick a chipboard, but that's totally up to you. That's your preference. So what I did was I took a pizza box and I cut my chipboard out of this because I'm using heavy cardstock, and that makes it sturdy also. So what I did was I cut 2 pieces of cardstock, which is going to be your front and back of your album. I cut it 7 inches, so that's how long your album's going to be. And then I cut it 5 1/4, which is 5 1/4 inches tall or wide, however you want to look at it. So you need 2 of that because you need a front and a back. Now you need your spine, and it's going to depend on how wide your opening is, how wide your spine is. So we decided, oh, we didn't even do that, did we, guys? Ta-da! I guess we need to know. So first thing we did was we decided that it needed to be 5 1/4 inches tall. That's kind of important, huh? So here we see that the box is basically 2 1/4 inches wide, but we don't want it to be too thin because it'll slide right in. So I just made it 2 1/8 inches wide. So when your binder goes in, it sticks up just a little bit, and there you go. There you go. So your spine's going to be 2 1/8 inches wide by 5 1/4 or 5 1/4 inches tall. It's always, your spine is always going to be as tall as your album is. All right. Now, then in order to make your binding, this is how I measure, how I did this. What I did was I got my papers or my chipboard out, and I thought, all right, let's see here. So, and there's the spine, and I knew this is a 12 by 12. I knew that wasn't going to be long enough, so I knew I had to cut another sheet of paper to glue to that. And you never want this seam to be in the crease of your binding, because if it is, it will wear. So see, that's what you want your album to look like. So you kind of figure out that, and you want at least 1 inch on all sides to cover over on your album, as you will see right here. That way it folds over and it's on there, and it'll stay on your album. So let me give you the measurements of this. And let me get my scoreboard, because I'm going to show you a trick that I learned. Get your scoreboard. This page here is 12 by 7 1/4. And what you need to do is score half an inch on the 2 long sides and 1 of the short sides. So I'm going to show you. You're going to do, I think I scored it half an inch, Or was it an inch? Hold on. I think it was an inch. Hold on. Let me see what I did, guys, because I want to make sure that I do this right. I thought it was an inch. And it was. So what you want to do is you want to score an inch around, because that helps you with your mitering on the corners. So you're going to do an inch all the way down. You're going to do on the long side an inch all the way down. Then flip it and do an inch all the way down. But you're only going to do it on 3 sides. And see, that fits perfect. So let me show you really close what we did. You can see the score lines. I did an inch, and an inch, but this side you don't. And let me show you. See right here? See how your paper or your chipboard is going to fit right there? And what happens is it makes it easier to fold over. And when we cut the corners, this is a wonderful guide. You cut straight across and you have some crisp corners. All right, so we're going to do that one. Now again, this is the 12 by 7 1/4. Then we're going to take our 7 1/4 by 7, and we're going to do the same thing. We want the score marks to even up. So we are going to score an inch, take it to the long side, an inch, and then you're going to do the other long side, an inch. So now what you'll be able to do is you will be able, whoops, I messed up. Daggone it. I knew I was going to do that. I have to mess up in every single one of them, don't I? But guess what? That doesn't matter, because we'll just go ahead and do it this way, because I think I can still make it work. Yep, because what we can do is it's still going to fold over, so it's not going to matter. Because what you're going to do is, as you can see, here's the score marks, and you just need the score marks on 3 sides to fold over. All right. I probably just confused the snot out of yous because I messed up. But, you know, we always mess up, don't we? So, now what we need to do is we need to put our, we're going to glue it together, but I need to make sure that I have it right. Because after you put it down, as all of us know, it is very hard to even okay, this is just way too short. Oh, now I know why, ding dong. I thought, oh no, I'm gonna have to start this video over because I've cut this too short, but I was putting my pages too close together. Because okay, now here you go. You want this to be here. There should be an inch all the way around your binding. All right. So it looks like that's going to be about 1/2 inch. Perfect. All right. So what I want to do is, and get it as close as you can. I'm going to use a pencil so I know where to tape it together. So it looks about 1/2 inch there. So I'm going to get my 1/2 inch tape. And like I said, it's just easier for me to do the double-sided tape because it sticks better. And you want to make sure you burnish, burnish, burnish. And let's get this off. And what you want to do, get your score lines evened up as best as you can. All right. All right, so now let's check her out and see how close we got, because you're going to even this up with your score lines. And as you can see, I did not put this seam where my spine is going to be because it would just rip. It would rip. And what you want to do, you have to leave a little space between your spine and your front and back pages here, because if you don't, it will just break. It just won't lay right. It won't close. It's just a mess. Alrighty, so now what we want to do is, let's put some tape on the back of these. And you know what? To be honest, I think I can use my ATG gun here, my advanced tape glider on this, because it's going to be taped down with my double-sided tape anyway. So we just need to make sure that we get it stuck down, because I think I've done this before, but you could use your double-sided tape too. Okay. So now you can see our score lines. What you want to do is you want to, don't go over the score lines, but go right to it the best you can. Lay it down. There we go. And see what this does is this gives you a score line to cover that. So now we're going to do the same with the spine piece. So our front and back, whoops, our front and back covers will even up with our spine. And like I said, it's probably about I don't measure this, I eyeball it. So just about 1/8 of an inch thereabout will work, just as long as you've got enough where your folder can bend. That's basically what that's for, so it will bend easily. You can see here, if I hadn't have left that space there, you wouldn't have that easy of a bend. All right, so let's put the last one down. All right, and what I'll do is, guys, I will do one video, because this one's already at 18 minutes. I'll do one video on how to do your binder, your front and back cover, your album, and then I'll come back and then I will do another video to show you how to do the binding, or not the binding, but the hidden hinge inside and your pages. So now what we need to do is, and scoring this at the beginning also helps you kind of keep it as straight as possible too. There we go. So what I always like to do is burnish, burnish, burnish. So burnish your tape down. Now, next thing you need to do is put your tape down. And I like to put my tape down before I cut the corners and miter the corners. That way you've got full tape coverage. And we've got 1 inch there, and I don't have a clue where I got this tape. I found it in my drawer, and it's like, I think it's actually 1 inch. kind of makes some of the bigger, yep, it's inch tape. And it makes these bigger areas easy to tape. So what you want to do is I'm going to put tape all across here. Okay. And then we're going to put tape across here. Okay. We're going to put tape across here. Because we want to make sure that this does not come up. Okay. And we're going to put some tape across here. Get down there. All right. Now, what you want to do is burnish your tape down because you want to make sure that it adheres. And let me get this off of this. That way it sticks. There we go. I think I may have done a little bit of this one too. Well, maybe not. Nope. All right. So burnish, burnish, burnish. Burnish, burnish, burnish. Get in that crease there. Burnish, burnish, burnish. All right. Now, next thing we want to do is miter our corners. And I have a tool to do that. And I have no idea what I did with my tool. I'm going to have to really find it, especially if I start doing these albums more often, because it just makes it easier. All right, so as you can see, black is a little hard to see, I know. This is where we scored, and you see this cross here. What you want to do is cut up to that. And what this does, this miters your corners. And then when you put it in, it'll make a crisp fold. Now, I kind of mess up a lot of times on those. They're not easy to perfect, and I can't perfect them, but you know, when you do it like this, you get really close, as close as you can. So you got to do all 4 corners this way. And you can always, you know, cut some off after you take your tape off. All right. You just waste a little tape, but at least you know you've got plenty of tape coverage on that. So, yeah. Okay. So now what you want to do is you want to take the tape off, and you want to do the small corner or the small flaps first. You want those on the inside. Okay. So let's go ahead and take our tape off. Wish I could find a use for these little tape covers, but I still ain't found any use for them. I don't know what we could do with them. I don't. All right, so now what you want to do is fold up as close as you can. I may have not, see right here, you may have to kind of push the corner in a little bit. And just, you know, sometimes it's not as easy to get as close. And I may not have gotten as close at all there as I needed to. So that's why you can always just cut some more. Let's see what this one's gonna look like. That's gonna look pretty okay. All right, so do the sides, bring it in, put it down, See, and when you score it like that, it makes it so much easier. And we probably need to just kind of squeeze our corner in there so it'll lay flat. And there's been plenty of times where I'd cut it too much and I've had to use a black marker, but then you could never tell that I messed up. All right, so let's do this one. Bring it in tight. And let's bring our flap down. Awesome sauce. All right, now let's put our top flap over. And it's easier to start in the middle and work out. Our corners is not going to be too bad, guys. I'm kind of tickled with that. So pull it in as tight as you can. Start with the middle. Pull it in and start gluing her down. Pull it in. Start gluing her down. There we go. Looky there. We've got the first one. And then you want to burnish, burnish, burnish. You always do this to the middle. That way you kind of crease it. Let's do our last flap. All right, let's fold it up. Okay. Start with the middle. Tight as you can get it. Put it down. Pay close attention to your corners. And make sure that they kind of lay as crisp as you can get them. And even though that maybe, like here, prime example, it may you might kind of crease it a little bit or wrinkle it. It's okay. We're going to cover it with paper anyway. Like I always say, with crafting, you can always correct your mistakes. Okay. Make sure you go over, burnish, burnish, burnish. Make sure that your tape is adhering. All right. Now, in order to fold this, don't just immediately fold it because your paper is going to crack. What you need to do is you need to crease it as you go. So, grab your bone folder. And as you're bringing it up slowly, just, you know, take your bone folder and work it. Because that way it won't rip, and it kind of, I guess it just gives it that flexibility. All right, so see, there you go. Let's do the other side. Take your bone folder and crease in between that fold. Because see, if you didn't have this fold, if we hadn't left a little bit of a gap there, it would have been hard to fold. Do it slowly. Looky there, guys. We have got our binder made. Look at that. Woohoo! So now we've got our binder. We've got our album base made. I'm so proud of us. And see, it didn't even matter that I messed up on that score line because it's not going to show anyway. And well, actually here, it shows right here, but I'm gonna cover it with paper anyway. And then there's the crease where we put the two papers together. So here is the first video, how we make the binder of our album. So I will be back in just a little bit to show you how to do the hidden hinge binding and how to do the pages. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Bye-bye.